Today is the 55th meeting of the Jacksonville Environment and Appearance Committee. I want to welcome everybody and call this meeting to order. Our first order of business is to adopt the agenda. Everyone should have gotten it by email, and it's before you now. Do I hear a motion
To accept.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Thank you very much. The agenda is adopted. The minutes are in your packet, and they were also sent to you by email. Was there any questions or concerns with the minutes? If no, could someone make a motion to adopt the minutes?
I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes as they are written.
Thank you very much. A second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. The minutes are adopted. I'm going to turn the meeting over now to Dr. Angela Washington.
Good afternoon, everyone. Members of the committee, if you will look at your desk, the City of Jacksonville has changed our logo as it has reflected up on the screen, but in addition to it, at the very bottom, there is like a golden highlight for the advisory board. So this is our new pin with our logo. So each of the board members of the various boards that represents the City of Jacksonville will be presented with their new pins. So officially, these are your new pins. And so I am requesting that at each of our board meetings or whenever we are out in the public, representing the City of Jacksonville, that we wear our pins. So congratulations on a job well done. I just want to say to each and every one of you, in spite of these unprecedented times with COVID, I thank you for your sincere volunteerism and willing to continue to serve the City of Jacksonville and its citizens on the Jacksonville Environmental and Appearance Advisory Board. So thank you very much for your continuous service.
And thank you for being with us. Our presenter today is Ms. Pat Donovan Brandberg. She's with the Stormwater. She's the manager of the Stormwater, and she's going to update us about what's going on with her.
Well, I must say I'm thrilled to be here after spending a year at home by myself or at work by myself doing a presentation. I was really giddy when I walked in. So I appreciate you asking me, and I'm going to take this off so that I can actually breathe better. I appreciate you asking me to present. I'm so glad that you guys are still here. Of course, you know that the environment is very important to me, and especially within Onslow County and the City of Jacksonville. So I also mimic what Dr. Washington said. Thank you for your service. Thank you for continuing to look out for the best interests of our environment within the City of Jacksonville. What I'd like to do is, that year that I didn't do any presentations or talk to anybody else but staff, we actually got a lot of work done. But it was kind of really boring because it was the only people we talked to were ourselves. As you know, the City of Jacksonville not only has an Adopt a Stream program, but we also have an Adopt a Trail and an Adopt a Street, as well as a park program. I just wanted to show you our overall watershed map for the City of Jacksonville. As you see, there's a lot of tributaries that run through us, as well as the New River. And we had a lot of people that needed to get out and burn off a lot of energy. We had 56 cleanups last year. 106 miles were picked up. We had 37 people participate, and we gathered 1,395 trash bags. We also added, you guys know Wheels, Jim Wheeler, who used to be a part-timer through, you know, not with the city, but still volunteered and a part-timer. We just brought Wheels on to staff, so he's part of the Stormwater water quality staff. He was a great addition. No one is any more dedicated to picking up trash than Jim Wheeler. Nobody. I mean, I don't even come close. So just this past year, he picked up 1,313 bags. Since he began with the city 10 years ago, he's picked up 10,996 bags. And when I say bags, these are not your little kitchen bags. These are the hefty 55-gallon bags that he's picked up. And he also, in doing this every day, he also has adopted a stream. And this past year, he did 16 miles of that stream by himself. So the stormwater water quality staff, we ourselves also have to inspect and maintain about 7 miles worth of the city's BMPs, or best management practices, which are your stormwater control measures, ponds, wetlands, swells, sand filters, those kinds of things. We actually inspected annually 180 of the city's BMPs. We inspected 147 private BMPs last year. We also received a lot of grant money. Probably the biggest one was after Florence. We were very fortunate to receive $758,000 through the USDA. It was in order to restore some of our streams. We got another $480,000 for the Oyster Highway project and another $25,000 from a smaller organization. What I'd like to do is the 12 streams that were restored through the USDA program, the $758,000. I'd like to give you a few shots of exactly what that entailed. Before you have some shots of Center Street. Center Street we knew was pretty bad. There is a large amount of water that goes through this watershed. It's what we call flash flooding. And what we did is when we removed some of the vegetation on the left-hand side, we saw that the whole embankment was getting ready to collapse down inside of this stream. So here's what we had to do in order to hold up the upper portion, is we had to literally add class 1 rock, which is very big, and then we actually stabilized the rest of the embankment. And as you can see, the last picture, vegetation has already reestablished itself, and that was from beginning to end, that was 1 month. So from the rock to the vegetation reestablishing was 4 weeks. Another one was Wooten Park. Unfortunately, with all of the flooding that we had, this literally tore out one whole entire embankment, and it was actually moving towards our running trail. And so our running trail and the bridge were going to collapse. So we came in and we used a new product, a new stormwater product, and we realigned the stream so that it's more of a curve, so that any type of flash flooding that goes through there, it won't rip the embankment out anymore. And again, on the right is 4 weeks later with vegetation already growing. Then we have Lejeune Boulevard. This is right where the bypass and the bridge is, where you've got the clover leaf. This embankment is probably about 30 feet. We were getting ready to lose part of a parking lot that goes to the restaurant on the corner. And just to show you how far down, that is a big piece of equipment, and it looks kind of small as it's sitting down at the base of the embankment. So what we did is we regraded, we packed sediment into the side, we added the core matting. We even put in, you'll see on the left-hand picture, we actually put in a slow down device. We put in logs in order to slow the water coming down Scales Creek, so it would take out some of the energy before it crosses under 24 and continues on to base. And again, the picture to the right is 4 weeks later. Our Bell Fork lift station, right there on Bell Fork behind the seafood, this is what it looked like before we started on the left-hand picture, and then higher up, it was all of the trees had come down, and it was a big tangled mess. And this is what it looks like now. again 4 weeks later. It's night and day, right? Onslow Drive, this was probably one of the worst ones. This one was actually, excuse me, going to take out part of the road on the opposite side. It was getting ready to take one of the light poles. Everything was starting to collapse down in on itself. And here's after it's finished. We also did a stream calming session here too, to slow the water down before it crosses under Onslow Drive to absorb some of the energy so that the embankments would not. To the Oyster Highway project, at this point, we've received about $1.3 million in grant money and individual funding for the project itself. We built the 12 oyster reefs from Wilson Bay all the way down to outside of Stones Bay. We put 6 on the east side of the river. We put 6 on the west side of the river. Some of them are a little bit shallower. Some of them are a little bit deeper. To date, we've put in 9.2 million oysters, and we have seen probably 3 times that amount of red mussels recruit in because we put the hard substrate in. There's all kinds of organisms that are now utilizing the river that we've never seen before. In fact, 2 weeks ago, I saw a pod of cow-nose rays in Wilson Bay, and I've never seen that in my life, and I've been working on Wilson Bay for 23 years. If that tells you how the habitat is improving the New River as a watershed, the diversity is returning, the numbers are returning. Every day the water quality gets better and better. So the last thing that we worked on last year that we have to brag about, of course, is our ADV program. That's abandoned and derelict vessels. We actually had council adopt the ADV ordinance in October. And between October and June, we actually had 19 vessels that were abandoned or derelict and in our waterways, sunken in our waterways, half on land, half in the water. Of those 19, we have addressed 14 of those. 9 were brought into compliance, moved to other areas to be fixed. We actually had to demolish 10 of them. And this was a collaborative effort. While Stormwater, Water Quality spearheaded this project, without the streets department, we've been dead in the water. The streets department has all the equipment that we needed in order to get the boats up the ramp and actually to break the boat down and then take it to the landfill. Our fleet department came in and helped us handle all the hazardous materials, meaning if there was any oil, any antifreeze, any gas, none of that leached out into the water or onto the land. We all did this together. So of the 19, we only have 5 boats left, and we just adopted the ordinance in October, and here we are in August. So not even a year later, we only have 5 left. So the ADV program was very successful. It got rid of a lot of possible hazardous materials off of the river or out of the river, and it got rid of a lot of eyesores along the way. So we also had, I guess because there were less businesses open and less people moving around, we had the lowest number of illicit discharges that we had to respond to than ever before. I'm very proud of 37. One day I hope to be 0. I can dream. But our biggest help with all of our illicit discharges is our fire department. Our fire department needs to be commended on how they handle hazardous waste. They are a very knowledgeable, great group of guys. They don't even call me anymore because they know what to do. So, I'm great. Don't call me. I'm good. The fire department is a huge component of our stormwater division. They deal with wrecks every day. And the first thing they do is try and contain it so that it doesn't get down a storm drain or a catch basin, because if it does, then we're looking at big, big dollars in an environmental cleanup. So I can't say enough good things about our fire department. And with that, that was Stormwater Water Quality's years of accomplishments. So I appreciate your time.
Anybody have any questions for Pat?
The vegetation along the sides when you were cleaning them up, did y'all sow that or plant that vegetation, or was it self?
No, we had to plant it.
planted?
So, that's a good question, Sunshine. Of the 11 streams that were restored, you can put different types of matting down, and one of the things that we did not allow on these stream projects is we did not allow the plastic type of matting to go down to hold down your wetland plants or your seed. We actually, you will use what is called a core matting, which literally is coconut husk, and that is much better for the environment because it's used as a fertilizer for the seeds that's underneath. But more importantly, small birds, small mammals, and reptiles do not get caught in it. In the plastic stuff, I've seen a lot of animals perish because it gets wrapped around their neck, especially small birds. So we use the core matting, and it allows the plants, the seed to stay in place, but to come up and flourish between the little tiny cracks. So it's great stuff.
The boats.
Yes, ma'am?
Someone, so, what point do you go, to just remove them without contacting the persons that own them? How is that done? What process is that?
Part of the ordinance was we would never do that. The ordinance states by law that we have to try and contact the owners. If the owners are contacted, we tell them, you've got 10 days to remove your vessel because it's been titled as abandoned or derelict due to this or that, meaning it's sitting on the bottom, it can't move on its own, it's not been registered with wildlife, it doesn't have the proper anchorage or the proper lights so someone doesn't hit it at nighttime. So there's a list of about 10 things, and if they're checked off, that's when you get the definition or the title of abandoned versus derelict. And so we tell the owner that he has 10 days to remove it. If he doesn't, then the city will take ownership and remove it and demolish it. So every one of the vessels, the 10 vessels that were removed and demolished, we did reach out to the owners, and some of them were real surprised that the boats were still around because they sold them 10 years ago. They had no idea that the boat ownership was still in their name, and they said, by all means, get rid of it because something's not right. I sold it 10 years ago. I mean, one of them was in Pennsylvania, one was in Virginia, and another person lived in Georgia, and they were surprised that the boat was in Jacksonville and still alive, so to speak. So to speak.
Charge the boat owner for all the expenses that you use, like you do abandoned cars and stuff, or no?
So for the funds that we used for this program, and that's why I said this was a major collaborative effort with the city of Jacksonville, is we use city resources and city people as well as city time. So it was really cheap. The only cost was taking it to the landfill. However, what we did is Fleet, remember, removed all the hazardous materials, which means it removed all of the gas tanks. And gas tanks are made of a very heavy metal. So what Fleet did is they cleaned up the gas tanks, they sold them, and the money that we got from selling the gas tanks goes back into paying for taking them to the landfill. And so it's been minimal cost to the city. It's been less than $3,000 to remove all 10. I mean, to crush these big boats up and take them to the landfill. The biggest boat was literally 5 dump trucks to get it to the landfill. But because how big the gas tanks were and the metal that we were recycled off of it, we literally have put hardly any money into this program. But big outcome.
That are left, there wasn't just enough time, or are you guys still working on them?
We're still working on them. You know, some owners are surprised and said, by all means, take the boat. I don't want to deal with it anymore. And then some owners, you know, you get a lot of opposition from. And so we're trying to get the owners to bring them into compliance. That means getting them registered with wildlife, getting the anchor lights on there so somebody doesn't run into them. Don't let it sit on the bottom. So we're still working with the other 5 as well as with the Resource Commission. And I have to do a little plug here. Our water quality technicians, Aaron and Maddie, really spearheaded this program. I'm very blessed to have the staff that we have. They've worked really hard on this program. Yes, by all means.
Yes.
Pat, didn't your staff start another program at the waterways, those big white PVC pipes for the fishing wire and the hooks?
Aaron, excuse me, Aaron, again, our water quality technician. If you've gone to any of the city parks, you'll see a very, it's large PVC pipe that has been bolted to one of the pylons along the walkway, and it's for fishing line. Because fishermen, you know, as you're spoiling, you'll have a little piece left over, or you're putting new line on, there's a large piece that you can't put. So instead of that going into our wetlands or into our waterways, we are recycling fishing line. That was another one of Aaron's ideas.
That's a smart thing to do.
Yes, if he leaves, I'm out. I'm just gonna cry and go too. He's a great guy.
Any more questions?
Do if you ever leave. What will we do then? She's never leaving.
Well, I have my first grandchild coming in November, so it won't be too soon, I hope, but I sure am looking forward to that grandbaby.
Just,
Thank you guys very,
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you for
Thank you.
being here and for all that you do.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
thank you. Next, we're gonna hear from, Mr. Derek Hart. He's gonna talk to us tonight about the adopter programs.
Thank you, Betty, and I would like to appreciate the committee for their participation tonight. I know there may have been a little confusion with the scheduling, with the originally scheduled meeting being moved around a bit, so I appreciate your patience, understanding, and your commitment to this community and your involvement here tonight, so thank you. I'm here tonight to talk to you more of a follow-up from the presentation and discussion that we had from the last meeting. I got a lot of really great feedback from this committee. Your voices were heard, and that led to further discussions that I would like to update you with tonight. The first one was our general terms with the adoptive program. So the way the program was set up and the way it had been administered was the general term was a 4-year agreement. There were several voices that I heard that felt like 4 years might be a little bit too long. It might be actually a detriment to, getting groups and volunteers involved because of that. So what we did is we spoke with city management, and we have decided that we're going to go forward with some new standard terms. And what those terms are now is it's going to be a standard 3-year agreement. So we reduced it by a year because we still want a long-term commitment, but we don't want to push anybody away either. If you look at bullet 2, we did make an exception for military affiliated organizations because we do have several of those. And as you know, in this community, we have it's a military community. So we do have a lot of military organizations that participate in volunteer projects. But because of who they are, we understand there is a lot of turnover within those organizations. So not wanting to deter them, we had made a special exception in order to provide them with 2-year agreements. And we hope that those communities and those organizations will continue to volunteer with us and accept the new terms, and we can get some more folks on and get some more folks out there. So far, we've been doing great. We do have 2 new organizations that have signed agreements since we previously spoke 2 months ago. The Ali Temple 257 has adopted and already conducted the first cleanup on Georgetown Road and Broadhurst. So very happy to have them aboard, and they fall into that new 3-year agreement as well. And lastly, just today, Boy Scout Troop 9133 has adopted McDaniel Drive. And they also are falling under and agreed to a 3-year term. So we appreciate their involvement in those areas were in our interests to get adopted. So we're very happy with those locations and their participation. This committee, back in June, had advertised that they wanted to adopt a couple streets or participate in the ADV Program. And the streets mentioned was College and Court Street. So highlighted on the map, those are 2 high-profile streets, especially Court Street being very long. Before we take this a step further, I just want to make sure that this committee is still in agreement that they want to go ahead and adopt both or one or both. I would just like to get that feeling back from you because we basically take these streets off the board for other organizations to adopt.
Anyone have any comments about that?
Refresh our memory, what all is involved before we make the decision?
We used to clean up streets, pick up trash every so often and have a truck to go by and pick up the trash bags. I think it's the same type of
Is it the
program.
We
same?
provide trash bags and
Gloves.
sanitary gloves, and you do a cleanup of the street once a quarter. So once every 3 months, we would gather and police the street itself. And at the end of it, there's a form that gets filled out online that goes to our sanitation department, and they come and they pick up the trash bags.
Doesn't take long. We used to do the bike trail.
That's right, and it used to be pretty, but it was
Bike trail.
not
This
bad
right
at
here
all.
in College is a short street. Court Street's the longest street.
Yeah, we
But if you
used
get a
to.
whole bunch together, go like this.
So
you'd
we
be
should be
done.
okay.
Yeah,
We gotta do it, because we're environmental, and we gotta set the
Exactly. We have
example
to
that
show.
We
the
have
city
to
should
make an
do.
example.
Example, yes.
You divide it, half
Yeah,
take that one,
half
half
of
take that
them
one.
and half.
Okay, I think we're in agreement that the committee wants to go ahead and secure both of those adoptions for those streets. And what we had discussed was once a quarter, and this is what that should look like. And this is open to discussion as well. But we kind of went ahead and picked the last Saturday of each quarter, and those dates are laid out for you. Starting, the first one would start November 27th.
What time frame are you talking about? We used to do it like at 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning, but what time you talking about in the morning?
And we're much older now,
Well-
don't forget that.
I would rely on I would work with the chair, to get a consensus of what time works best for everybody.
Goes off at 4:30 in the morning.
Go ahead.
I was about to say, I'm not for sure because I don't have my phone out, but is that November 7th, the Saturday after Thanksgiving?
Yes, it's right after Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay.
We can move these. These are definitely, dates and times that,
What time do you think? 9 o'clock, I think 9 o'clock
Well,
is better.
9 o'clock?
Yeah, we'll work closely with the committee. You know, like Derek just said, these dates are not written in stone.
Right,
Right. There's some flex to them, and there's no problem with that as long as we get it taken care of. You mentioned 9 o'clock in the morning, is that right?
Yeah.
Now, it really should not take very long to do this if, if we split the committee
Oh,
up
just
and
short.
take one street and the other take the other street. So I don't have any problems with 9 o'clock, but it's up to the committee.
How does everybody feel about 9 o'clock in the morning?
9 o'clock is fine.
Okay,
All right.
I think there's a consensus that we'll try 9 o'clock in the mornings.
wonderful.
It's better to have a date set so that if you work like I do, and you got a job, you know that it's better to know.
Put it aside.
Yes.
Yeah,
And-
okay.
And I can go maybe on a Friday afternoon if I can't get off on Saturday. I can go clean up a part of that street on a Friday,
Okay.
and call y'all and say, hey, I done my part, y'all go ahead and do the rest of the street. And I have done that.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, so I appreciate us, or this committee to volunteer to take those two streets, and I'm excited to move forward with it. And we'll continue to work offline and coordinate and make sure that everybody gets the notification, for when we're gonna be doing those cleanups.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're gonna have a little open discussion, and the reason being is, that it's for the general public as well as for some of the new members that we have here to kind of get a feel for what the organization or the committee is about. And the JEAAC purpose is to promote efforts and to beautify and enhance the visual quality of the city. Reduce litter, encourage recycling, and reduce non-recyclable solid waste. And then to promote environmentally sustainable community, conserve resources, and educate members of the community. Our task is to create public awareness of beautification efforts, encourage and organize and advocate our cleanup efforts. And as we mentioned in the past, we're going to try and do more and more communicating with the Neighborhood Environment Committee in order to arrange cleanup and areas that need to be cleaned up. And I think it's important that we coordinate our efforts with other committees to enhance our responsibility throughout the community. It's also a task to support memorial tree programs and ensure the legacy of the designation of Tree City, USA. We also need to identify and advise City Council concerning areas in the city that may need attention, and in doing so, educate the public and encourage citizen participation. One of the things I want to bring to the committee's attention is some of the major programs that we are a part of. And one of those major programs is Arbor Day, which takes place in April. For some of the committee members that don't know, the city of Jacksonville has been a Tree City USA participant for 41 years. And we've done a very good job of maintaining that status for that length of time. And part of the standard or the responsibilities or what we need to do as far as maintaining that Tree City USA status is, number one, we have a tree board committee. We have 4 members on the committee, Sunshine Williams, Betty, Miss Linda Smith Henderson, and Ms. Keys. That's a member of the tree board committee. We also have, the city has a tree care ordinance, which I'm not sure that all the members are familiar with, but we can certainly provide that to you so you can read that ordinance and know what the responsibilities of the committee are. Community Forestry Program, we do have that. We work that in conjunction with parks. For the members that don't know, Jason Smith, who's with the Parks Department, he helps us tremendously in doing the paperwork and getting our Tree City USA status. He takes care of the paperwork as far as our annual work that we need to do for that program. He takes care of the budgeting for that program, indicating with our application how much money we spend for that forestry program. And lastly, what we need to do in order to maintain that Tree City USA status is that we observe and present a proclamation for Arbor Day. And I think for the members that were there, I was pretty impressed with the Arbor Day celebration that we had in April. I thought it was a very nice affair that we had. We even had Betty's young one participate in it, and we had her take pictures so she could go to school and see that it's done in school. So Arbor Day is a major program for our committee. Another thing is the Memorials and Honors Program, and some of us may not be aware of that, but it's an opportunity to pay tribute to a loved one, either in the form of trees or flowers or any banners inside the parks or whatever. That information is on the city's website, and you can access it very easily to understand the nature of what that program is about. It's a very good program. Let's see, Adopt a Street, Park, Trail Program. We all know about that because Derek is spearheading that. It's a city effort, organized ways to clean up the local community. It's the ability to work with city staff in order to get that done. And the good thing about it is, if you adopt a street or a stream or a park or whatever, you get to decide where you want to do it. You know, it's not like the city tells you where you need to go or what, that type thing. You get to decide where you want to help the community beautify itself. And I think that's a very good deal because it makes it convenient for individuals that are interested in doing that. Holiday decoration contest. I'm sure that the committee members that have been here for a while, we have contests for Thanksgiving and Halloween decorations. We also have contests for Christmas decorations, and it's a chance to recognize individual residences that go above and beyond as far as welcoming in the Halloween spirit, the Thanksgiving spirit, the Christmas spirit throughout the community. Another program that we do, which is most appreciative by the city staff, is the appreciation event for sanitation, streets, and parks. This committee provides breakfast at some time for the sanitation, streets, and parks divisions for the work that they do during the course of the year. And it's a very appreciative program through the employees. We also, which is a lot of what we try to send out to our committee members to get information on, is the Clean and Green Star Awards Recognition Program. And the Clean and Green Star Awards Recognition Program consists of several awards. Number one is the Neighborhood Recycling Award, which we are going to try to get back into. For a while, we have not done that, but we're going to try to get back into that in conjunction with sanitation, and we're working on a way with sanitation to do that. And what we want to do is simply recognize a household in every ward instead of just recognizing one household for what they do or one individual for what they do. The Residential and Business Appearance Award, again, that's for appearances, for landscaping, for the work that a resident does to improve their yard, their street, their neighborhood. And then there's the Outstanding Community Service Award. And I don't know that we have done that recently, but I think it's important that we get back to that because it also has to do with our Adopt a Stream or Adopt a Street or whatever, and it can be used for let's say, schools that do an excellent job as far as recycling is concerned. It can be used for organizations that take care of the streams and the streets or whatever, and do an outstanding job with that. So I think it's important that not only we recognize residential customers and businesses in those areas that we indicated, but it's also important to recognize, I think, the service that some organizations give the city and go through, helping beautify the community. And that's about it. I just wanted to give you kind of a short synopsis of the committee and what we're into and what we're trying to do as far as the committee is concerned. You know, we have more things that we are going to do, more things that we need to do. I think we've taken a good step toward doing that as far as adopting the street, which is fine, bringing back the recycling recognition program, which I think is important, and then taking care of the individual businesses or individuals that, you know, go above and beyond as far as community service for the city of Jacksonville. And I think that's what we need to be all about, and that's what we need to be projecting to the residents that we're supposed to serve. Okay. One thing I want to kind of go over a little bit, so we'll have some kind of foundation as far as the star awards are concerned. Again, like we talked about on the recycling program, we're going to try and recognize individual households through each ward. We're going to do the same thing for the star awards for beautification of the residential residences. The thing I'd like to do and sort of get a framework for is that with the 4 wards, we're going to try and send out to each and every one of you 2 nominations from each ward, and then you choose 1 from each ward you feel it deserves the recognition, and we're going to try and get at least 2 to 3 businesses that you can take a look at, so we can do the businesses too. So I think it's important that we don't choose just 1 star award for one thing or whatever. I think we kind of spread it out a little bit. We meet every other month, so I don't feel that that's something that's difficult for us to do. And I think it's important too that we recognize what's going on in each ward. I think that's just tremendously important, and give kudos to the residential customers that take the time and effort to make their households look presentable and look decent. There's a lot of, if you travel around the city of Jacksonville, there's simply a lot of residential households that do a lot of work on their yards to make it beautiful and to enhance the community. So I think that's important to make sure we do the best that we can to recognize everyone. Does anybody have any questions about that or any changes that we might need to make?
I think it would be nice if you would let the people know that's listening to the program tonight that they can call in for the residents of the month in their own ward or something, or business in that ward. It's not just us as a committee that does it, but as citizens have that right to call in and nominate in their own ward.
Thank you.
A business or a residence.
Thank you very much, because you've just done that. That's good. And make sure that all residential customers know that they can call in and make the nominations. Lastly, Derek mentioned this to me, and I said no, but I'm going to do it anyway. National Night Out. I think everyone knows that National Night Out was postponed. National Night Out is now moved to October. Is it 6?
I don't have the date.
Yeah, but it's in October. I believe it's October 5th. Yes, sir. So it's still on. I think Miss Betty has gotten together with some scheduling, and those schedules, you know, hopefully will remain the same that you volunteered for.
Okay.
And we look forward to seeing everyone at National Night Out when we have it. Okay. Okay.
Could I piggyback on that? I want to congratulate our committee. We had 100% participation for volunteering to work at National Night Out. So,
Good deal.
congratulations and thank you very much.
You're quite welcome.
The wildflower seal.
Okay, our next meeting will be October 7th at 6 PM. More information will come out as that is available. Please put on your schedule, November 27th for the, street cleanup. If it needs to be changed, we'll get up with you. Does anyone have anything that they'd like to say? I'd like to thank, Ms. Donovan Brandenburg and Mr. Hart, Angela for coming and speaking today. We really appreciate it very much. If there's no other questions or concerns, let's go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion to.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Ozzie. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.